Aloha, I am Cuz Nohea. Nohea is my Hawaiian name. Cuz as in cousin. Mike is my regular name if you want to go by that. You can say whatever you want on your end over there, I guess. So we are here today to do a ranking of my favorite Alan Parsons Project albums. This is my first ranking like this that I've done. I plan on doing a couple more, one for Crowded House, one for Kate Bush, maybe The Police. We'll see what else we got that I've got pretty complete collections for that I can go through and do. Just something fun for me to do. I like the Alan Parsons Band a lot. I've liked them since high school. You will hear about some of the couple of stories from high school and that era that have connected me to this band. And we'll go through my favorites. There'll be some things you expect here. There will be a few surprises. Remember, these are my favorites. They're not yours. Please don't bitch at me because I didn't put your favorite on top. You can explain why it's your favorite in the comments. I'm explaining why it's my favorite in the video. So, without further ado, let's get rolling. I'm going to start with my number 10 album. This is my number one, one of the easiest choices. But my number 10, Ammonia Avenue. Okay. Look at my notes here. This album's from 1984. I just don't like this album that much. It's the last big seller for Alan Parsons. I have the last big, huge single on here, Don't Answer Me. It isn't bad. It isn't my favorite single by any chance of theirs. I don't shut it off, but I don't put it on either. I have tried liking this album a lot. I've listened to this album quite a bit lately, trying to get into it. My friend Jason is a big fan of this album. Not me. I'll talk about some other things related to this in a few minutes. I think they were trying to change the sound on this album, and I don't think it worked for them. There was a lot more drum machines, definitely a reduced role for the orchestration in there, which is something I like in the Alan Parsons music. There are a couple good tracks on here. Prime Time, the opening track, excellent track. Don't Answer Me, the first single, that's, Prime Time's the first song. Don't Answer Me is the last song on the first side. Don't like much in between. First song on the second side, Dancing on a High Wire. I like that one. That's a pretty good tune. The next tunes don't do it for me. Ammonia. I like a lot of the Alan Parsons, ballads, but I don't like Ammonia Avenue, the closing ballad on here. So, number 10, easy choice for me, Ammonia Avenue. The next two were actually pretty tough to choose. They were pretty close on there. But for my number 9, I am going with Gaudi. Okay. This is the last Alan Parsons album I ever got. I only got this one a few years ago, so I'm still learning this and coming to it. There's some things that are really growing on this. The first song, La Sagrada Familia, the church in Barcelona, I believe, that Gaudi designed. So, great track, some orchestration on this one coming back. This is from 1987, by the way. This is the last Alan Parsons Project album, too. I think Eric Wolfson put out another album after this, Friday or something like that. I've never heard that one, so I'm not going to speak to that. There's some tracks I don't like on here either, though. Too Late's okay. Closer to Heaven's a solid ballad. Standing on Higher Ground, that's a good song. A little reminiscent of Stereotomy, which I haven't talked about yet. Money Talks is the reason this got ranked down below. I'm just not impressed by that song. Don't like it. Inside Looking Out, great ballad on this one. I listen to that a lot, actually. Closing instrumental, Paseo de Gracia, solid song too. Good album, one song I don't like on it. That's what brought it down to number 9. Number 8, we have over here the Vulture, the Culture. Let's see, does this light make any difference? I like it better for me without that light on over there. Vulture Culture, this is from, when is it from? 1985. Colin Blunstone vocal on here. Colin Blunstone of the Zombies sings on the track Somebody Out There. He sings on 3 Alan Parsons tracks, which I'll bring up later. Another thing I didn't mention earlier is Alan Parsons, multiple vocalists on all the albums. So it's not the same singer over and over. They have repeat singers, Lenny Zakatek, Eric Wolfson singing a lot of songs, John Miles, but they're doing a lot of different stuff. The songs are written by Wolfson Parsons for the most part. Lyrics are almost exclusively by Wolfson. A lot of the instrumentals are from Parsons, but they're co-credited on all of it, though they were written separately for the most part, I believe, and then probably worked on together. That's a little side break on the general information there. Getting used to where to look at the camera here. I hope this doesn't look too weird for you out there. But number 8, Vulture Culture. I like the single on here, the 3rd track, Days Are Numbered. I actually remember this. It came out in 85, I believe. Yeah, 85. Back home visiting my parents, helping my mom out in the kitchen in a few days, and I was helping either do dishes or get ready for dinner, and the song kept coming on at the same time. I like that track on there, Days Are Numbered. The first 3 tracks on here, very solid. Let's Talk About Me, Separate Lives, not as good as that. Let's Talk About Me, Days Are Numbered, really good. After that, not bad. Somebody Out There, the Colin Blunstone song is pretty good. Solid on the way out, nothing great, nothing I dislike, nothing that makes me want to shut it off like what was that track here? Money Talks, or several of the tracks on Ammonia Avenue. So I don't think I think the good tracks on Gaudi, I think, are like La Sagrada Familia, I think is a better track than anything on here. But the consistency of this album brought it up to number 8 for me. Number 7 is an album I like quite a bit. Stereotomy. This one is 1986. The title track is awesome, just great. I mentioned they were trying to change the sound earlier. So these last 4 albums are the last 4 albums Alan Parsons put out. All of them have less orchestration on them, which is one of the reasons I think they're down here for me. I miss that a lot. The orchestration is amazing on the rest of these albums above this in the ranking. But I think they hit more of the sound that they were going through here. Stereotomy has a great energy to it that they kind of duplicated on the track on Gaudi I mentioned I liked earlier, Standing on Higher Ground. Some interesting guitar synth type stuff on here. Different beat to it. Almost King Crimson-ish in its original sound on it. We also have Gary Brooker guest vocaling on this album, on Limelight, doing a killer vocal on that. There's no Eric Wolfson vocal on this. Eric Wolfson, Alan Parsons' partner in writing these songs, had a lot of the hits once he started singing. Not my favorite vocalist, though. I think it's the classic case of the middle of the road stuff ends up being the most popular song, even though it's not the best songs on it. And I think that's one of the reasons I like this a little bit more. There's no Eric Wolfson vocal on this. But good album. Good album. Some electronic drums in that, they work a little better than some of the other stuff on that. So yeah, these first 4 you could have in any order. If you put any one of these last, I like Stereotomy a lot. If you have that last, I wouldn't argue with it. I can understand some people not liking this. I love Stereotomy. That could be an annoying song to some people, but I really like that track a lot. The last 6 are the first 6 again. I think most people would group these like this. You know, there may be one that from each group that crosses on over to the top 6 or bottom 4, but not that often. I don't think any of the bottom 4 are going to be a top number 1 for anybody's set. But even my number 6, if somebody had my number 1 with it, I would not argue with that. I can see it. These are fairly close, but my number 6 right here, Tales of Mystery and Magic. Ooh, I want to just pause for a second, go back to Stereotomy, which has a really cool album cover here. So this is an actually interactive album cover. So if you look at it, there's the album cover right there, and then you got a blue side and a red side to this, and it makes the cover different depending on the side you're looking at. And then you got some of the same stuff on the back, but you got that. So you saw what this looks like. So I'll put it in there, and this is the blue side we're going in on now. So all the red's disappearing, it looks like. Oops, get in there, baby. And then you can see Stereotomy and the Alan Parsons Project at the bottom. Now, let's put it in the other side. It's easier to do this the other way, being right-handed. I gotta go back. There you go, you can watch it slide in. And there you go, I guess this has got to get turned over. There you have the Alan Parsons Project and Stereotomy, another cover. And then the back does the same thing a little bit, so you have an interactive cover here. I don't know if there are too many other interactive album covers out there, but this is my second version of this. I bought this in a record store when I saw it recently. I had the original when it came out because I was into APP at the time. And I had bought the original when it came out. I don't know what happened to that. I've moved all over the country. Lost a lot of albums moving by having them in the car in the sun. And them not playing and just getting rid of them, not thinking about that. CDs and all that, and coming back to collecting them. Got another album down here I want to pull out. So this is my album cover for Tales of Mystery and Imagination. There's several different versions of this actually. So you can see some similarity. You see the cloth. It's hard to get this on the zoom. Unraveling there. You can see that around here. But this has some Orson Welles narration on it that this doesn't have. I really like the Orson Welles narration. I like that. I can't speak to the sound of the rest of it that much, how it compares, but the Orson Welles narration is pretty cool. Not on this older copy that I got right there. But this is the original one. This was originally intended to be a one-off project. They weren't looking to become a band or become a long-term project. They had this idea, they put it out, it was successful, and that led to them doing 9 more albums after that, which you are hearing about from me today. So we got Tales of Mystery Imagination. This used a lot of the band Pilot. So we had the core band of Ian Berenson, Andrew Powell, David Patton, who is from Pilot. The song Magic was a big hit, great song. Stuart Tosh was the drummer, also from Pilot. They also used Ambrosia, lots of other people. They started the multiple singers on this album. Alan Parsons always choosing the best singer for the song on that. Really good album. It's based on Edgar Allan Poe stories. So all these, A Dream Within a Dream, The Raven, The Telltale Heart. Telltale Heart's a little weird song. Cask of Amontillado, a little slower. The Raven, A Dream Within a Dream is a good intro. The System of Dr. Tar and Professor Feather, that's a concert favorite too. That's a really good song. That's the one I remember hearing on the radio. The second side is all the Fall of the House of Usher. It's mostly an instrumental. And that's where it loses it to a little. It's not that it's bad. It just gets a little boring for me. It's interesting. It's nice to listen to. Some days this is really good. Some days it's not. If it was a more consistent album to me, to my ears, it would have ranked up higher. There is some good stuff on it. It's fascinating. They're still figuring out how they want to make their albums on here. Great orchestration on it, and all that. So, number 6, Tales of Mystery and Imagination. They're getting tougher here. This choice was tough. These 4, 5, and 6 were all really close. They could have gone any way. This will be a surprise to some people, but my number 5, Eye in the Sky. This has the core band on it here. Where's my notes? Get them back up here. I got paper notes and on the screen in front of me, so I'm kind of looking at the camera if I'm reading them. I remember getting this in college when it first came out. I don't know what happened to that album. I don't have it anymore. I used to de-seed on it a lot. I do remember that. Like the tracks, but it just didn't click with me as strong as some of the other Alan Parsons albums. Track by track, this album can go blow by blow with any of the albums. It's really pretty impressive. We'll talk about the tracks in a minute. But as a whole piece, I tend to lose interest with this album listening to it and want to, even though the last track is great, I get impatient and want to move on. Might be because I'm so familiar with the album. It was a very popular album. It's got the most popular Alan Parsons, or best known, Sirius on Eye in the Sky. Sirius being the instrumental Chicago Bulls and lots of sports teams use. Eye in the Sky was huge. Children of the Moon. I haven't been talking about tracks as much as I intended to. Well, those first albums, there's not as many good tracks to talk about. Children of the Moon is a good song. Gemini, beautiful Chris Rainbow vocal on that one. Layered, the layered Chris Rainbow vocal. Silence and I is just an amazing song that, goes in and out of the orchestration. Just an epic at 7 minutes and 20 seconds. You're going to get your finger burned. Psychobabble. Step by Step. Old and Wise. There's another Colin Blunstone song. That is just a killer song on this album by Colin Blunstone. Very, very good album. But, I like the tracks. I don't like the album as much for some reason. It happens on there, but I like to sing Old and Wise too. That's the one Alan Parsons song I karaoke, which doesn't happen that often. Next up, we have ones I have albums for the rest of these, I believe. Here would be the album cover, Pyramid. Here's my CD cover. Looks a little darker, doesn't it? Interesting. I got a Kate Bush album that's the same way as this. It's these same colors, these brown and gold colors. And they're very different, same cover, different brightnesses, intensities. It's different, surprising to me. But this is, if I didn't mention it, Eye in the Sky was 1982. This is Pyramid, 1978 album. I like this a lot. The first 3 tracks of this are incredible. I wouldn't call it a suite. They bridge into one each other. It's not like a suite in the sense that the Fall of the House of Usher is, and one we'll talk about a little bit later. But they flow into each other. Just a great 3 opening tracks on here, as good as anything in the Alan Parsons realm. They are a little bit mellower, those first 3 tracks, but they're still really good. I think the sound on this album is it's very rich, extremely rich, but it's not as bright as this album, or this album, or any of the other ones, or some of the others. There's another one that reminds me of this too. Actually, the one that came right after this, we'll talk about later. It's still coming up. This is where they figured out the orchestration to me, where they started implementing it in the songs and really got it right, and it was a seamless integration between the orchestration and the songs on there. It blows me away. I was playing some random Alan Parsons as I'm writing my notes to this, and In the Lap of the Gods came on, and the orchestration for that just blew me away. Get that out of the way. What else do I have down here for notes? Oh, Colin Blunstone again does another track on this. The second track in that opening in the suite, or the third track, I guess it is. What is it here? The Eagle Will Rise Again. The third track, just that opening suite, just excellent, excellent, excellent. Colin Blunstone vocal, worth checking out this album just for that track. Levels out a little bit after the third track, at a much higher level than the Vulture Culture leveled off at earlier. I think this is the first one Chris Rainbow was on. Also, Stuart Elliott replaces Stuart Tosh on this one on the drums. And so the band on this one is basically the backing band for the first two Kate Bush albums. And they made the next few albums. And who else? I'll talk about the musicians on the next one. I got the notes on the next one. But Stuart Elliott replaced Stuart Tosh on this, on the drums. I believe Stuart Tosh went to what do you call that? 10cc. Who the keyboardist from the band, Duncan Mackey, I don't know what it is. But he also went to 10cc. So where are we? That was Pyramid number 4. Eye in the Sky was number 5, if I didn't say those numbers, because I'm kind of babbling on for 20 minutes here nonstop. Number 3, I have iRobot. I'm sure this is a lot of your number 1. Some people are bitching at me right now out there. Oh well, these are my favorites. And here's where we got this. This is the first album with Duncan Mackey on the keyboards on there. And he went and did, like, I think 3 albums with them. But I'm listening to the first side of this the other day. And this is number 3 in my mental first draft on there. Actually, the top 3 ended up the same as in the draft. And I'm listening to the first side of this album, and it's like, iRobot, amazing instrumental, just killer. I Wouldn't Want to Be Like You, might be their best song, killer single. Some Other Time, great song. Breakdown, great song. Don't Let It Show, good song. I'm going, how can I rank this anything but 1 or 2? It's like, there's no way, something's got to change here. Then I flip the album over. Isn't that the second side isn't bad? It just doesn't engage me quite as much. A few more instrumental tracks. The vocals don't do it as much for me. The voice, I mean, it's not a track I need to hear. It's nothing I would shut off on the track, on it. But there's also nothing on the second side I'm going to put on a mixtape or anything like that. Not a mixtape anymore, but a playlist or anything like that. And as good as the first side is, it might be the best album side in the catalog. It certainly is a contender. The second side brought it down. These top 3, the second and third were really close. It was a tough call for me. I think the sound on this is really good. It's a lot brighter than the Pyramid I mentioned on the last one. But when I started comparing track by track for this, the first side, the first 2 albums were pretty close to this stuff. But I liked all the other songs on the other albums better than the second side of this album. And that's how we ended up at number 3 for iRobot. If you got it at number 1, you got no argument from me. This is the one that's going to surprise a lot of people. I know a lot of people aren't as big of fans of this album as I am, but I have Eve at number 2. iRobot came out in 1977. This came out in 1979, the end of my sophomore year, start of my junior year in high school. So I'm getting into music for the first time. I'm listening to the radio. Damned If I Do was all over the radio and a big hit, and I liked that song. They used the word damned in it, so it was pretty cool. I didn't know it, but I was into the more proggy type things. There's some great orchestration in this, just like in all these early, these top 6 albums, just amazing orchestration incorporated. It's just like, they've worked it into this one. They got it on Pyramid in '78. This is just great integration of the orchestration into the song. It blows my mind. But Damned If I Do was all over the radio. I thought You Lie Down With Dogs was a hit too, but I was looking it up on the internet getting ready for this, and it wasn't a single. Surprised the heck out of me, because I remember hearing that in the radio in my hometown. But track for track, this is pretty strong. Lucifer, great instrumental to start with it. You Lie Down With Dogs, killer, great lyric. I'd Rather Be a Man, You Won't Be There, good songs. Winding Me Up, Damned If I Do, Don't Hold Back, one of 2 female lead vocal tracks. Secret Garden, amazing. I want to call it instrumental. There's a vocal section in here, but it's no lyrics. It's just a Chris Rainbow vocal arrangement. Sounds great. To pause for a minute. Getting really thirsty there. I didn't plan on this going on, but number 2, Eve, we're talking about here. If I Could Change Your Mind, the other female lead vocal from Alan Parsons is the closer on this. I like it. This is the other album, like Pyramid. I think it sounds rich, but it's not quite as bright of a sound, which is surprising for Alan Parsons. It doesn't sound bad listening to, but in comparison to his other albums, it just doesn't sound as bright. I never miss it when I'm listening to it. I just like when I put on the mix play, I notice that a little bit on there, but really good album. Good tracks on here, good lyrics. The first really more song-based album on here where they, it's just song, and you're not having these suites. They started doing that on Pyramid. They cleaned it up on here. There's not the bridging of songs together on here quite as much. But I like it. I imagine most people break that lower, but I'm not most people. And that only leaves one choice left. My favorite album, Turn of a Friendly Card. I can remember, this came out in 1980. I graduated high school in '81, drinking age was 18 in Wisconsin. I remember playing tracks from this on the jukebox, drinking underage in bars at 17. So, some important memories for me on this. And I should mention this here. I got this one on album too. So I got that. I got Eve. I got the iRobot too. When I listened to Pyramid on vinyl, it was like, ooh, that one jumped up the rankings too. That made a run for the top 3 on vinyl, but after I listened to some of these other ones, it was back to this. But I love this album. Solid album. Great orchestration on it. Solid songs. Big suite of songs on the second side. The first vocal from Eric Wolfson on here on Time, one of the big hits. All the hits after that were by Eric Wolfson vocals. I don't get it. I'm not a fan of his vocals, but I shouldn't say I don't dislike them. There's a couple I like more than others. The ones I like didn't become hits. But I hear like PJ Olsen do Time live, and it's like, wow, this could have been even better. But maybe A Price to Pray, great opening track. Games People Play, huge single. Time, huge single. I Don't Want to Go Home, love that track. Every track on the first side I love. The Gold Bug, great instrumental. Then you get in the Turn of a Friendly Card suite, which closes it out. Turn of a Friendly Card, Snake Eyes, Ace of Swords, which is an instrumental, Nothing Left to Lose, and then Turn of a Friendly Card Part 2. Solid, solid, solid. Great songs, great singing. The sound on this is immaculate. I can listen to this all the time. I never get sick of it. But that is my number one Alan Parsons album. Coming out the start of my senior year, obviously. This is real important. Just looking at my notes here. That's really about that. This had that core band that backed Kate Bush up too. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. Games People Play, interesting track there. So they do this on a few Alan Parsons Project where they use these little electronic loops, kind of like a click track or a backing track, and or a metronome backing track, click track, and they end up leaving it in on the song. There's a few songs they did like that, but Games People Play, there's that synth wash through that. That's that little, probably Alan Parsons created background track that, like I said, they use kind of as a click track to get their beat and set up the song. And there's a few times they've left it in because they sometimes sound cool, apparently. So that is my ranking for Alan Parsons. So we've got number 1, Turn of a Friendly Card. Number 2, Eve. Number 3, iRobot. Number 4, Pyramid. Number 5, Eye in the Sky. Number 6, Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Edgar Allan Poe stories. This is out of order here. Number 7, Stereotomy, which again I believe comes from Alan Parsons. Not Alan Parsons, Edgar Allan Poe. Of course it comes from Alan Parsons. Number 8, Vulture Culture. Number 9, Gaudi. And number 10, Ammonia Avenue. That's it. That's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be curious to see what happens. This is my first video I've made like this. I will be making one for Kate Bush in the near future and also for Crowded House, 2 of my favorite bands. Because I got all their stuff so I can rank them. I've been thinking about those and working on them. I just gotta find the time to sit down and do it. But again, this is Cuz No Hair. Aloha. You all have a good one. Take it easy.